build career, it falls apart. You build another one, it falls apart. You build another one, it falls apart.
Women's life.
I don't know why you're so moody, or maybe you should just
Because
like
I
have this job.
fucking lose my shit sometimes, once a month. I lose it.
And after I can find it.
One of my favorite memes, like, if the USA is so great, why they invented the USB? It's like
Let's gonna finish this podcast. I like that. This is a podcast called Female Christ, and this is like our first pilot. So, welcome to our life in United States and California, like 2 Ukrainians in here. So
basically, both of us are kind of working in tech and in industry that are related to sex and female health. Marta is more about female
everything
health.
started from
I'm
sex.
a little bit
from
more
our
about
life.
sex. Yeah, so we kind of touch this topic quite often, and we discuss a lot of different aspects of femininity and sexual health and desires and everything that revolves around it.
Yeah.
And we decided that it's actually a fun topic to just discuss and share our opinion about it, and maybe share some interesting stuff with you guys if you find it beneficial for yourself. And yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, so today we actually would like just to start from like Unfiltered thing. So we would like just to have an episode called Unfiltered. It should just like come here in a huge name, Unfiltered, with the sexuality. Because like I think we both know that in our sort of Slavic countries we're like a bit very very far away from America and from everything which is happening here, because like we're not exploring our sexuality. We don't have like any sexual educations or like a good sexual education in Ukraine.
Yeah, I know that girls in Ukraine are called whores when they're like 12 and they never had sex and don't even know what it is. But they're already whores,
This is a very thing. Yeah, I don't know. I think that just because I'm so curious, like I've started my life from like looking in myself in a mirror there and everywhere, so I can just like understand where the anatomy works. The thing is,
you started your life from there. I can imagine like baby Marta is like, can I look what's going on down there, please?
Yeah, but the thing is, like in our lesson, I remember in anatomy at school, they skipped the whole chapter of anatomy and sex because they didn't want to taught us like how to actually do that. Like they didn't want to explain how the sex worked, so they was like, oh, and today we're gonna like actually skip the chapter so you can just like close your book, and today we're gonna be talking about like, I don't know, cells or hands or I don't know, eyes,
any other body parts, any other, but not those ones. Don't talk about that. They don't exist.
Like the thing is, like I would like just to explore more of this topic in deeper like understandings, and also talk with people who have been like before working with some feminine products.
Yeah, that's actually fantastic. And I also think that I would love to touch something about how digital business and how tech has changed the sex industry. Mm-hmm. And although it became so much more accessible to any person in the world, just with a few clicks, you can access any types of content, free, paid, whatever, but the stigma is still there, even though the accessibility is so high and you can literally, have it anywhere you can, but still it's very, stigmatized, especially the less developed countries are, the more economically developed. I mean, the more, the harder and the stronger is the shame for any, not even the sex work itself, but just any type of exploration at all. I actually can confess an interesting thing regarding how the difference between different countries and like more about sexual health. I studied in the UK, and I remember that I've started investigating different contraception, and I was like 19, 20 years old, and obviously I knew condoms and everything. So. But I wanted to, see what maybe there are other options, and like just was curious about reproductive health and all of that. I found like I was 20 years old and I felt so stupid because I went to like a clinic and they showed me all sorts of different types of contraception, and I was like, I wasn't a child, I was an adult. I was living in another country. Not for the first time in my life. I was making money. I was like adult enough, but I didn't know those things because no one ever taught me. No one ever told me that. not like parents, not doctors, not in the school, anywhere. Like, that is so bad.
In our heads, we think that we are like living by the norms, so we know like where exactly we are in society. In Ukraine, personally, I was like thinking about the condoms as well, and I was not aware that about like existence of the spirals, about like a fertility. I didn't know what fertility
means, what it is.
It's right now I'm exploring fertility. I was like, oh wow, we actually have age for just making children, and this is something what we need just to take care, and this is something what we need just to think. Before, I just remember like the thing is society is putting our like pressure on like us, for example, using condoms, right? So in 15 years old, we're like very afraid of getting pregnant. Like most of the people I know,
and now we're afraid not getting pregnant.
And right now I'm 30. I'm thinking about fertility. I'm sort of in the middle of my fertility age, because fertility age from like 15 to 42, okay, to 35. 15, 35, this is like a gap. You can just get pregnant, not even easily, because like the thing is, I've been thinking that getting pregnant is like you having sex, obviously, you having your partner, you're having sex, you're getting pregnant, there's 9 months, you just like laying down, chilling, eating your ice cream after you're raising your kid. And like I have had very
so I always thought that, you know, it's a little bit more complicated in terms of being pregnant for 9 months. But also, I've started investigating that as well, and I found out that we know so little about fertility and female body.
Yeah.
Like, even with the fertility age, you know better. I'm not an expert on the topic, but I found out some interesting facts that even a few years ago, we thought that fertility age was much lower than we think now. Mm-hmm. So it kind of kept increasing, obviously because like on average in the world, although all of the things that's happening in the world, we're, you know, like we have better healthcare and so on and so on. But we just know very little about female bodies, which is very
We do have a lot of
interesting.
specific things, really. Like, there's a lot of different obstacles. There's like a lot of different pressure, and like you need just to understand that when you just like, I don't know, when you being born as a woman, you have so much more to think about than being a man. I'm sorry about that, but we're living in a man's world, and like women, that's why we female Christ thing. Women are actually just like going through a bit more complicated things with all the fertility, ovulation, PMS, moods, and whatever. And sometimes they just like pressuring us, like, I don't know why you're so moody, or maybe you should just like
because
get
I
this job.
fucking lose my shit sometimes once a month. I lose it.
And after I can find it.
Then I spend the rest of the month trying to fucking find it, and then I lose it again. And
But
that is the circle of fucking life.
Yeah, and also like I'm feeling a bit pressuring from like from a fertility side. Like there was like a lot of studies on the women side base. So like people are pressuring women to getting pregnant, and men having fun. And women trying just to get pregnant, and men are like, don't fucking care. They just like going and get some drugs, get some parties, whatever, like get some shit, the alcohol, bro topic. And we're still working in ourselves. We're balancing. We're trying just to be okay and calm for getting pregnant.
Okay, I don't try to do that.
Men's fertility stuff is like so much more important than a woman's as well, because like men has a reproductive health as well. So like we both need just to have a tango, like sort of like a dance together for having it. But we actually started not from fertility. We need just to talk about the sex first, because sex coming first before
and then fertility.
So we wanted to chat actually about the OnlyFans and the whole sex tech industry, because like this person, amazing person, we met just like not very much like a long time ago, but we talked for like 4 hours on a hike. I just remember there was a moment we started talking about everything in the fucking world, and we just like having a lot of different matches. So a person who's working in the sex tech is like a lot after like working with electricity, like you said. No.
And I wish I could say that I'm an OnlyFans model and I make a lot of money, but I do actually the same thing I've done in any other business I worked before, you know. So it's a lot less boring than it sounds. But yeah, I kind of, I actually talked recently to some of my friends about this. How did I go from managing the development of hydrogen technologies in Ukraine and like working in hardcore
because you're a woman
energy sector to working in a sex tech industry?
As it is.
You know, So anyone who thinks that, you know, it's hard to change your career, don't think so, you know?
I would like we need just to have like a small blurb about you, like right now. So I would like just to tell to all the people like who actually are you. Can you just like tell a bit more like where you started from? Because like your education, she shocked me. Like I was like super like impressed by everything what she said. Because like I was like, maybe I'm an entrepreneur. I'm just like moved to LA and whatever. I'm doing my shit. I do have
We're
my
all just
startup,
moved in LA and doing
and,
our
like,
shit.
She was like, I'm actually working in the Big Four, and after I decided just to work in a startup, and right now I'm like in sex tech, and I was like, what? So,
Nah, I mean, it just, you know, I actually have a background in energy industry and energy engineering. I did all the kind of, you know, oil, gas, renewable energy stuff, and then and I studied for that. But then I moved to Ukraine. I worked, started my career in, like restarted my career in Ukraine. Working Big Four. I worked before that in different science projects related to energy sector back in the UK. And then, yeah, I worked in Big Four. I moved to large private Ukrainian energy holding, worked in the innovation department, ran a couple of projects based on electricity, mostly.
she's like telling me there is nothing happened. She was like, oh, I was just in Ukraine working sometimes there, sometimes here. I'm just came to US.
I didn't came to the US. It's not like it's not like I decided to come to the US. It's not like I made a conscious decision to do that.
Just for the information, in Ukraine there is still war with Russia, so like
yeah.
the whole background pushed us into moving to a lot of different countries, but like
Yeah, so I mean, we probably have the similar story that a lot of, you know, people that are from Ukraine, you know, just one day everything changed, and some people stayed, some people moved, and some people kept moving. And I have a lot of friends that still, you know, like trying to find a place to settle. It's not that easy, but we kind of settled here for now, I think. So yeah,
I'm not sure, but like
I mean, you never know. You never know. I mean, it's
in our life, we're fucking sure. You never
for
know.
now, this
like,
is kind of the place we're trying to be and trying to build something. So yeah, I worked in an energy company. Then lots of things happened. We also started building like a venture studio based on the energy company and like flirting with startups and like, you know, more early stage young companies. And I kind of got fascinating of the idea of not operating in the large, you know, infrastructure based business, but kind of more something very you know, fast and growing, and you're building, and there is nothing, and then there is something more, and then it breaks, and then it's go again. So it's kind of, you know, again, the like giving birth to something. So I was so fascinated about this idea that I kind of started move more to the world of startups. I had my own projects, and then I started working in logistics startups, and and that's how I moved to LA.
Such a brain, like
I worked for a startup that was based in California while I was in Kiev, and then the war started, and the guys just said, you know, maybe, you know, we need you and we work, and let's just work here, you know, and I went.
I must say that how I admire people, like sometimes I'm just like meeting just people, and sometimes I'm like feeling that I know them already, because you're like nerd, you're like, I love education, I work there. I was like, there's nothing about it I can just like actually tell. And she was like, I'm working in a sex tech startup. I was like, what the fuck, like tell me more about it.
Yes, and that is kind of a lot of things happened, and I met a lot of interesting people here, and I was always kind of like fascinated with sex tech as a sector, because it's like such a prime instinct. I don't want to say basic instinct or whatever, but it's like prime need. Our sexuality is also like kind of that vital energy that gives us a lot of power to create
like,
and do something in this world. It's not only about like having sex. It has a lot of shades of it. It's like, you know, visually appealing. If you're talking about a content, it's some kind of a, you know, self-education, exploration of yourself, building stronger connections with yourself,
self-confidence, also
intimacy, you know, 100% in intimacy, because that's, I know that we're living in a hookup culture right now, but there is no more. You know, there is the most intimate moment you can have in person is, you know, when you're having sex. Although, you know, there is a lot of fast food and, you know, one-night stands, but still it is very true to the relationship, like romantic relationship. So there is a lot of aspects of that, and also like loneliness and health and beauty and power and all of that. So I was fascinated with this industry, and it, till this day, it strikes me why it's still so like stigmatized in a lot of ways, because we don't stigmatize food, and we all eat, you know, and we all need to eat and fuel our body to keep moving.
Philosophy.
We do need sex kind of in the same way when we come to a certain age. It's a natural thing. It gives a lot of power, a lot of energy, a lot of, you know, experience and so on. But we're still very like, you know,
It's true. Like I'm
not very
thinking
open about it.
I don't know what's the difference actually in between Ukraine and Europe and US based on like your philosophy of a life, but I'm feeling like in Ukraine I've been just like so it's like into absurd levels when I'm just like so into some like frames for not talking about sex, for not seeing people making love, for like not, I don't know, watching porn. The first time I actually saw people kissing, I remember like we've been watching some movie with a mom and dad on the couch, and she was like, "Don't look at it," and I was like, "What the fuck?" Like, why I can't? And like after like that was my story. I just really I love the story how I found this like a magazine of a, I don't know, it was some kind of like erotic magazine of like my uncle. I've been looking for presents for St. Nicholas Day, obviously, and there was like nobody's home. And I was looking in my uncle's room, and like I remember I was opening the couch, and in the couch I found these like magazines with a lot of like naked women, and I was like, what? I felt something. I felt warm, and I was like, what
Big
is that?
boobs?
Yeah, I love men. I love women. I've been dating women. I've been dating men. Like I love it. I'm bi. Like B is like bisexual. Yeah, I was like I'm bi. B.
You know, I'm sorry.
XOXO gossip girl thing.
It's like one of my favorite memes. Like, if the USA is so great, why they invented the USB? It's like
Let's gonna finish this podcast. I like that. I like it. I like it a lot. So like right now we can just like freely saying like I am bisexual, or like I am a LGBTQ plus. How many numbers they're gonna add? Like how many letters they're gonna add into this word? But like at that point I was like, okay, I found something, I felt something, and I was ashamed of like telling my mom that's happening like to me. I've been ashamed of asking something.
I can't even imagine. Like, to be honest, I don't have this experience, and you know, I like romantically just men. Unfortunately, if I could have made a choice, I'd love to, maybe, you know, but it is what it is. But I can't even imagine. That's so interesting to have this experience. And I'm sorry to interrupt you, but tell a little bit about yourself, because this fascinating human being that has an incredibly interesting story, did so many cool things, like both, you know, private, personal life and business. I am actually a lot more fascinated by people that, you know, don't wait until they go and get the experience, go and get the, you know, certain diploma or something, but they just go and do that. And that's why I admire you, because I, like 100% you're that person. You're very educated. You know a lot more than a lot of people that, you know, have a lot of degrees and all of that. You constantly keep educating yourself, especially in the topic you're currently, you know, developing your product in. But you're also do not wait until you get all of the, you know, papers that show that you can do something. You just go and do that without asking anyone for the permission to do that. So that is fascinating. And tell us a little bit about your story.
My story, I used to be a journalist for a long time, and I didn't finish my university because like a revolution started, and I went to Kiev. Kiev. I was like, Kiev. What the fuck I said it? I don't know why. For a revolution in 2013 at the end, and I started working in Hromadske television. It was like a 24/7 marathons, like, so we've been like all the time on television. That's why I like so much like in news and cameras and everything. But the thing is, I started my agency. I was almost bankrupt. I went to Mexico. I was traveling a lot, and after I met my future ex-husband, can I tell that? You can. So
that's your
for
podcast.
that moment, that was my future. Right now, he's my ex. So sort of like that. And
wait a minute. I'll stop you there. I had an agency. That person built from the ground, like being in her 20s, like early 20s, a marketing agency that signed one of the biggest companies in Ukraine and international companies as well. Done all the marketing for them, did all the stuff. I don't know anything about how to promote things, how to, sell things, how to have a great branding strategy, communication strategy, and did it all at the top level, made decent amount of money.
I was pretending that I know, and I was learning.
It doesn't matter, It doesn't matter. It did work. It did work out. You were great, and it was a great business, and you built it from the ground yourself, and that worth anything. It's so much more. It's so much harder to do than a lot of other things.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning it. For me, building an agency, that was something I was curious about, because I used to work in a Postman, who was an agency of branding and communication, I would say that. So there was a lifestyle as a client, there was a president's communication, president's wife communication, all of social media stuff we've been doing for them. And I was bored because I've been super into design, and I was more into strategy. And I believe I had a small school of branding and strategy. We've been teaching people how to do that. So I was very much into education from one stuff, from other thing. I was understanding myself by everything what I do. I'm just creating because I love creating meanings for people. I like when people educating themselves, when I'm solving somebody else's problems, when that work, and I felt that I would just to start branding agency. So I remember I had one co-founder who I met on a shooting, I think. I don't remember even for what, was for some startup, and he was oh, I actually want to have a branding agency. It was I want to do it too. So we made branding for our branding agency for a night. We create the naming, it was Butter Branding Agency, and we create the whole concept where we've been shooting our butter for our cover for our website together at 4 a.m. in some studio because we didn't have the money for the shooting. So we rented a studio on the left side of Kyiv. We went there, we've been whatever. So we've been super creative and started from 2 people, and after it grows and we were merged, we changed so many times, and after we started working with our international clients, so that's how it was. But the thing is the main lesson is do not make business a mission of your life, because I made this is a sense of my life. I was just living in my office, and afterwards I lost it. I lost myself. I was so depressed. I was I'm a loser. I nobody needs me. I don't need myself even. I just went to the fucking Mexico for one time, one side ticket, it was one-way ticket for just escaping, because I was just I lost everything. I lost my money, I lost my people, I just fired my people. I was just broken. And since then I had a husband. I just wanted to say that I had a husband, and right now I'm divorced, almost
divorced.
I hope that when we're gonna release this video I'm gonna be divorced. Please. But the thing is, so I've been using a pills, how to say it, it's OC pills, oral contraception, I suppose, pills. Birth control pills, yeah. So I just
I was using pills okay, wait a minute.
Just for being happy and glowy all the time. Yeah, I'm a fan of condoms and contraception, but with this person, I felt that I would just to have a close connection, a deeper sex, a bigger trust. So I've been using pills, and I had some moodiness all around, but at the moment of COVID, I got pregnant because pills are not working when you're just having a COVID, because of diarrhea, because of fever, because of everything. They're not putting it in.
So how would you know? And there's so many, what frustrates me so much about female reproductive health is that depending on what doctor you've got, and sometimes if you've got, and that is no offense to male doctors, but sometimes, especially if you got a male doctor, they just don't know, and they don't tell you things like that.
They didn't know either, because I think it was a first year of COVID. Nobody knows what the COVID is. I just remember everything was locked. Everybody was afraid of going out because they've been oh,
breathing
there's COVID.
Air.
Whatever. At that time when I got pregnant, I was straight afterwards, but I got this test. I made the second one test. I didn't tell to him because we've been just dating for 4 or 5 months, whatever. And I was okay, so I'm I've been 27, 28 years old, and I was okay, this is my time. No matter what, he's gonna be with me, he's not gonna be with me, I'm gonna be this. I'm gonna be a mom. So I made a decision straight afterwards, and I came to him and I was like, I'm pregnant. He was like, I need just to have my dad around for like making my decision. And I was like, okay, maybe if you need your dad, that's okay. So we flew straight to his dad, so he made this decision, but like, whatever. Sorry, this is my still post-divorce feelings after everything. So I had a miscarriage after I got pregnant. So that was something I even didn't know that that's existing. And statistics of the miscarriages is freaking me out because 1 in 4 pregnancies ends in miscarriage. 1 in 4 pregnancies. It's like millions of pregnancies per year.
I didn't know this. We already discussed that, and you told me that. I didn't know the statistic before. I never looked into it. I never like tried to get pregnant or anything. But I know a lot of friends of mine that are a little bit older, or like friends and relatives that already have kids, or like have 2 kids and try to have another kid, or like between first and second kid, or when they try to have 1 kid. A lot of people I know unfortunately had an experience of miscarriage. So I do, like, when I found out about the statistics you shared with me, that made so much sense for me, because I've heard a lot of those stories just from people I know.
The worst thing ever, which I felt after my miscarriage, so I remember a story of my mom. I told you about that. So I remember a story of my mom. My mom she's like the most optimistic person in the whole fucking world. I love her so much. She's just like so positive. And the thing is, I remember when
we need her energy a little bit.
Yeah.
Because after the last couple of years, I'm like, we're doomed.
She would do it. So the thing is, like, I remember when I had my sister already. I do have my younger sister. She's like 20. So we had 8 years difference. I'm 30, so she's like 22. Me counting. I was like, I'm so not in math right now. So I remember that I had my sister already, and she was like, I'm going to hospital because I do have some sort of stuff to do. And I was not questioning my mom's thing. So if she's doing something, she knows, because she's a doctor. She knows what she do. And in the moment, she was like, oh, I came back from a hospital, and I'm happy to see you guys. So I was like, okay, cool. So after my miscarriage, my mom said that she had a miscarriage too. And she was holding that information away from me. So she was just like hiding it away from me, because she was not able to explain me. She was like probably felt guilty of something, of like not having a kid or not giving me a brother, because I want to have a brother.
But I think it's also it's such a huge issue of also, I don't know, again, you work with this topic a lot more than I, ever encountered people that have this experience, but I think the guilt and the shame that something is deeply wrong with you, that this is happening to you, is so present in there, that besides this being very stressful and traumatic physical experience, a lot more than that, it's a very stressful and very complex, difficult experience on emotional and psychological level. Yeah. And the more you try, I think the worse you get. Like if it's, if you
it's
just.
Very true. Like,
yeah.
Because I was not planning family, sincerely. I was like not ready for the family. I was like, I need to have a build career, just have my startup, and afterwards.
And then you build career, it falls apart. You build another one, it falls apart. You build another one, it falls apart.
Women's life, entrepreneurs is like always like a roller coaster. So yeah, I was like not planning, but when I was responsible for my life and I decided just to keep the pregnancy, I decided to have a kid. I went there, I told her, and she was like, okay, so in some time you used to come here, so we're gonna know gender. That was the moment when we needed to know the gender. And I didn't tell to my husband and to anyone I know the gender. So this is a different thing and a different topic. It's hard just to process still, but like I used to work as a therapist, I used to work with a lot of different people as a grief counselor, so I know how it feels. But in the moment when I lost it, I was so stressed that I went out and I talked to my husband. I was like, so right now we don't have a kid anymore. You can go. And he was like, I don't understand. I was like, you can go right now. Because he was like so not into, he was like, I need freedom. How are we gonna have kids? Like, I'm not ready. I'm like, and he was not even reacting to me. He was like, not like, oh, how's our kid though? Like, I've been expecting that, like for having this communication in it, like during the pregnancy. He was not even asking how we were feeling. He was like, how are you? He was not thinking that there's something inside of me which is growing. For me, that was a kid, because I was feeling it. like I was feeling that something is growing. This is like a most amazing feeling that you're like, I don't know, you're smiling every day because like you understand that you're keeping alive right now.
This
And,
is
like,
so, I have chills. I don't know.
like I'm just like, I felt that I was so responsible. I was listening to the podcasts about like how to raise a child, how not create a trauma. So I was working through it, and
I think it's literally impossible not to create trauma.
of course, with all our stuff, like no, it's not possible, but still like, and
Just
I
not the
remember-
type of trauma we had, you know, that's the best we can do.
Sure.
New types of trauma. We need
Yeah,
to get
yeah,
creative,
yeah,
you know, we can't just continue the generational trauma. We need to be a bit more
we're working
authentic.
through our traumas, and I think we're going to be amazing parents, like really, because right now we're so concerned about like mental health, and we're so like trying just to get ready to that.
Of course like, I'm concerned about mental health because it's fucking falling apart, you know, if I'm not going to be concerned about it.
Yeah, so like a short story, like this is not going to be a long story. So I've been caring about my granddad. He know that I'm pregnant. So he knew that I'm pregnant. I was like, how am I going to tell him? Because like he's old. He might like, I don't know, not accept this information. He might be not ready for that. I was not caring about myself. I went straight to the hospital. In the hospital, they treat me like shit. They've been like, oh, it's okay. You had a pregnancy loss. It's okay. It happens. You're young. You're going to have more kids. I was like, great support.
Is that the Germany?
No, it's in Ukraine.
Okay.
Everything happened in Ukraine.
Okay,
Straight
gotcha.
afterwards, my gynecologist said you need just to go to the extra ultrasound for like being sure that it's actually pregnancy loss. If it's pregnancy loss, you're gonna go to my friend who's like in that hospital. He's gonna clean you out, vacuuming it.
Oh my God.
And when I said that I would like just to know the reason and study it, they forgot about this. So they made the vacuuming as like, there's one option which is like a bit more complicated where you can just get it and just put it into analysis. And there's vacuuming, and they basically just putting it into the toilet. So they've done this. And I went out of a clinic and I went to the doctor's cabinet. I was like, so what's about the results? And she was like, which results? I was like, so what actually happened? And she was like, oh, we didn't study it. I was like, oh, cool. Why? We're like, we forgot.
Amazing.
And I was like, okay. So afterwards, I remember my ex, he flew to whatever party stuff, and I was like walking through the bridge, which was crashing, and I was like, I would like just to commit suicide right now because I'm like so not supported. I'm just so alone. I'm trying just to be strong for everyone trying just to be like strong for me, but like I don't know. I know a lot of different people. I met a lot of different women who has like even more complex and complicated situations where when they train just to get pregnant via like, I don't know, for like 7 years, for 6 years, and they're like not having any success.
Or have a success and then have a pregnancy loss.
Yes, which is also traumatic.
I can't even imagine that. That is a horrific experience to go through.
So yeah, this is all my story. My startup called Gently, right now we're working people and trying to support them after a pregnancy loss. So
yeah, all the story was that actually what Marta does right now is building a platform that helps a lot women that went through that experience and helps both finding good medical support and also, you know, the psychological and emotional support.
Yeah.
Marta is officially trained and accredited grief counselor. That helped a lot of people to go through this experience. And although, you know, in any case, it's a very traumatic experience, but we all know that if something very hard happens to us, how we go through it and, you know, how we come out from that experience very much depends on how much internal support from ourselves we get and external support in terms of, you know, also our close people, but also if that is something related to health, a healthcare system that can, you know, support you and help you to get out of this experience. You know, it will be traumatizing anyway, but there is a difference between being traumatized in the moment and then going through it and kind of recover from it and become stronger, or have this unhealed trauma that just carry on with you in life and just, you know. And you told me yourself, and you know, you went through loss, both your business and your child. I had a loss with the business and with career as well. We all went through a loss during the war, you know, in macro sense, and also each of us has their own, you know, story about people that are close to us. It's this experience, you know, that revolves around loss. It's actually, it has so much impact on your life later on, no matter what you do, and not like, not in a way that, you had a loss related to, reproductive and your child, but also then it translates, it's very hard to work, it's very hard to have energy to do anything, like, so Gently does such an incredible job, not only helping women, here and now with their trauma, but also ensuring that after they have this experience, their quality of life could be much better than it would be without them having help in the right moment and the right help.
Thank you for. I need you to pay for the marketing also. No, the thing is, like, it's not the fun topic to talk about miscarriages and pregnancy loss. And like sometimes when I'm meeting people, they asking me, "What do you do for a living?" I prefer not to say anything, because like when I'm saying like I'm working with a startup, this startup is like we help people psychologically after pregnancy loss. They've been like, "Oh, okay." And I'm like, yeah, it happens. Like to me as well. This is my story, and people are like, oh, okay, so. Yeah,
people freak out.
Yeah, like you just like tell a lot of things about loss, and I wanted to tell like a lot of things about loss too. So grief, like this is a thing, like a normal reaction, normally respond to the loss. But loss might be like a different. It's not about losing a person. For example, like divorce is like a comparing.
It's very similar. I 100% on the same page. When I'm talking, it doesn't mean lose something physical or like real loss. Even the loss of sense could be as traumatic. If you believed very hard in something and then the reality crushed that belief, that could be as traumatizing as actually losing something physical as well.
Moving as well, like moving away from your country, moving away from like your home or like your hometown. For my parents, I would like just to tell about this story as well. There was a story of my parents I just wanted to share, like after your reflections on the loss. So I had the feeling that my dad, this is like the strongest person ever, because like he's super conservative, he's like tall, he's like, brave, and I was like always looking at him, I was like, oh, my dad is just like so mad, And I moved out of my parents' house first, and my sister moved second, like it was like 4 years ago, because like she got married very early, and she went like into a house with her husband. And I remember in one moment my mom called me and she was like, Dad is not feeling good. And I was like, what the fuck's happening? Like, he's always feeling good. He's like a man, like my dad can't have anything, like he just like is, and he's like happy, and he's like always working, he's always busy. My mom was like, psychologically he's kind of like, he's like different. And I was like, what happening? And she was like, he's not sleeping. And I was like, what the fuck? Like maybe some pills, maybe some like weed gummies, whatever. And I called to my dad, and he was like,
weed gummies and weed.
He was tired. I just remember he was like, with this like a circle.
I know.
He was like, just like, sorry. But this person who was for me the strongest person in the world, he was like, I don't know what happened, but that happened after I felt there was like an empty home. And I was like, what the fuck, empty home? Like you have us, like we were always talking, we always like in a Facebook video, FaceTime. Nastya is in your town, like my sister. And she's always coming to visit them. But he was like, I'm just feeling that there's no sense in life anymore. I don't want to go back to my house.
So sweet.
And I Googled it first. Like, so after I understand something, I'm trying just to Google and ask ChatGPT of what it means. There is a thing called empty nester. It means when you just like, when you create your home, when you do have your family and your family all the time around, you just like going there, there's always, I have a goosebumps right now. I miss my parents so much. So like the thing is, when you do have this like life inside of your house, of course you want to go there, you want to share, and we always have like a discussions. My family is super fun family. We always like laughing. We're having like a stand-up comedy all the time. When my sister is there, everybody's like sitting on the floor from a laugh, because it's hard just to laugh for us. We do have a lot of noise in the house all the time. And here he said like, I know that there is just like my wife, my mom, and I'm not feeling that I want to go home back. And I was like, Dad, but this is not like, you didn't lose that. Like, there's not a loss. Like, we're alive. We're like still in your life. And we started talking through this, and he opened up and he cried, and he was like, like, I really need you here. I was like, but I can't be with you anymore. I'm 30 years old. I'm building my life. Like, I'm married. Like, your second daughter is married too. But like, we're never going to forget you, because like, you are our parents. And after I remember, I bought him a CBD oil. And he's been drinking it, we've been talking through it, like he's been opening up, and he said, I'm feeling like I felt the loss in the moment.
I actually think that when I moved, like first time, like permanently, and I moved to another country, and I was 19 for studying, like I think my mom never told me that, but I could feel that it's like very hard for her. Although I always was like very independent, and like we had a very good relationship, and we as well, we talked, we texted. I would go home on like, you know, Christmas break, summer break, but that fact that I just like, you know, disappeared from, and like also moved to another country, so you can't just, you know, go and visit or whatever, like whenever you want. I 100% agree that, you know, when it's like end of the era, you know, when something is ending, it also could be, even if it's something good, even nothing bad happened, but that change for our like nervous system or our like psycho system is very stressful, because we get used to how things operate, and we get, you know, we find comfort if they operate well. And then if that ends, even if it does end positively, like, you know, you and your sister moving from your parents and, you know, making your own life, getting married, building business, it's a very good thing. It's not like, you know, it would be way worse if you know, just stay with your parents till 30 because you have nowhere, you know, to go or whatever.
I love him, but like,
I mean, yeah, it's a good thing, but it's still, the experience is still, you know, like a lost experience.
Like I think that like a loss is more about like based on feeling of presence. You know, you have it. Not you own it, but you have it. You have the feeling of family. You have a feeling of, like, I don't know, in a partnership, in a marriage, you're just like feeling that this is something which is like important for you. So you have this feeling of a body. Despite the old divorce and that other stuff which is happening right now in my life, he's an amazing person. I love him a lot. I love him a lot still. So I can go just through it and say that I don't. But the thing is, like, I loved his temperature of a body. And his presence, the presence of this body with his temperature in the bed was making me so cozy that I was like falling asleep straight afterwards. Like there was no worries, no anxiety. I had a lot of problems. I do have a lot of problems all the time. I'm a problem solver, like the same as you, the same as all the Ukrainians, I think, right now. So
we just have problems, you know?
It's like permanently problem solving, decision making stuff, whatever. But like with him, I had this connection despite all of our conflicts and fights in our relationships. I just remember that I had a feeling of presence. And like, if you do have it, afterwards you don't. And we got divorced, we got separated. I was like, I had troubles for like falling asleep because I didn't have anything like a worm in my, I was like trying to have a pillow or like trying to do something else, you know. I'm like, what?
I told you. Buy a
heater,
like a
blanket with a heater.
Yeah, blanket with a heater.
So.
Yeah, I will give that advice to everyone that go through the, you know, breakup and is very tempted to go back because they can't fall asleep. Buy just a pillow for a pregnant woman and a heated blanket. It works.
and you yourself, because I think this is like a deep trauma, but whatever. Like, so about our relationships, we're gonna talk in any of other episodes. I think it's gonna be in future, because like we do have a lot of shit to share like with. But like today, our idea was to share about the OnlyFans, about the Patreon, and just like actually talking through this stigma around like a sexual life and sexual presence and like and all the content around like I don't know, the industries. So I've been thinking like we actually can start talking through
yeah,
this.
I was just like 40 minutes
in,
we're like, let's actually start talking about the topic. But I actually have an idea how we can a little bit like, you know, turn from what we were discussing. You mentioned your dad, and that man is always, you know, there is again a lot of stereotypes, men, women, and again, you know, maybe less of them in the US or Europe, a little bit more than them in Ukraine, and it varies from country to country, but on average, there is still that. And you know, you shared that your dad it's always the figure of a very strong guy who is always like, and that it was, you know, hard for him to open up and everything.
Yeah.
And I know that usually we see men that consume sexual content on OnlyFans, Patreon, Pornhub as, oh, perverts or whatever, you know, like, we don't have, like, I think both parties are stigmatized for people who are making those type of content and people who are consuming that type of content. Maybe in a different proportion, but still that. Because I work in a product that has a, you know, provides similar services, we did a lot of studies about, you know, demand, who will need our product. And what we found out that loneliness is an extremely huge issue. Like, third of the US population, that 130 million of people feel very lonely. It cost over $900 billion in, you know, economy loss due to things that loneliness triggers, like, you know, an addictions, depression, like unsocial behavior, absentees at work, and so on and so on. And we also found that for men, it's so hard to get into intimate relationship and to open up to someone or build connection to anyone, like, at all. They mostly do that with women that they have an intimate that have sexual relationship. So with women, it's a little bit less like that, because we usually have, you know, we have a female friend we talk to our moms a lot more. We usually, you know, like, more women do therapy than men. Statistics, again, it's not.
More women work than themselves. I love men a lot, like, with the whole respect.
But can you do a little bit of work on yourself?
Like, yes. Like, I really would love just everyone consider that therapy is something helpful. This is completely normal to have therapists. It's just completely normal to ask for help, like, for help. Like, really, it's just so good. Or just
not even if you need help, just to go and figure out, like, you know, to get yourself to get to know yourself.
To get yourself
better.
back, like, you know, because like people
but
just
that,
losing
it is an issue, like, and
it
does transform in a lot of other sectors of our life. It's a very big, complex issue of loneliness and for the lack of intimate connection, but, you know, for men to build them. And I'm not going to go into, you know, patriarchy and why this has happened, and you know, it's not about who is the victim and who is not. It's about that we're already in this complex kind of position that right now, like, because of all of that, even when men try to get that intimate connection, not with their sexual partners, it's hard for them because, you know, friends don't understand them. There is a lot of stigma that, oh, you go to the therapist, you know, like,
you
whatever.
need to be brave. You need just to have a lot of, like,
all of that. And
take it.
Yeah, and I've said it a million times about, like, sex work and, like, why men go to sex work, not even just in online content, but actual, you know, prostitution. There is nothing wrong with that, first of all, you know, in terms of, you know, as long as it's consensual and everything is, you know, done right, and this is just a service, you know, someone is willing to provide, someone's willing to pay. If that is the case, it's all, you know, good. Everyone is appropriate age and consent and everything. But men, I've studied that topic, so men go to those type of experiences a lot of times because this is, if you go to the person that does the most shameful work ever, there is nothing more shameful than, you know, doing the sex work. On average in the society, in any country, you can't be shamed anymore. You can be whoever you want, because the person who is the most shamed, the most shamed already can't really shame you. Like the girl that does sex work can't shame you for whoever you are, because she's not in the position to do that. So that is where that much demand for content like that comes from. Whether people are willing to admit that or not, research shows that a lot of it. Of course, there is a lot of, you know, technicalities and nuance in that as well, but that is what we see. And, like, if we talk numbers a little bit, you know, there is Patreon that does a lot of support your fan, whatever different type of content creators are there. They have 100 million in traffic on average in web traffic. OnlyFans has 300 million, so it's 3 times more, and they do mostly only sex content, whereas Patreon has lots of different types of content. So you can see where demand kind of leaning on. Pornhub has more than 2 billion in monthly traffic.
I love Pornhub. It's just so.
Those guys are just like. No, I have a lot of,
Somewhere.
you know, they could have been more responsible and ethical company than they were, to be honest.
Well,
And they did a lot of things wrong, but they did some things right.
I need
as
to add,
well.
like, also about the Pornhub. I don't know why, but I heard a lot of different opinions about the Pornhub, and one of the main ones, which I heard like very often, that the actually watching porn making us like thinking that everything in a sex is going to be happening as in a porn. But I respect porn because it's educating. It's literally showing you where exactly you can get the pleasure from. It's showing you how you can explore yourself. It's showing like which positions are existing. If you're lazy shit and you just like can't open the Kama Sutra, you can just see it and after like say to your partner, let's just do that. Like this is like something I appreciate. I love porn. Like I love watching porn just because I like porn and also I like learning from porn. So I think there's like no way of judgmental like opinions about it.
To be honest, I would say that I think like porn, you know, it's content.
Yeah.
So
I'm
we
like, genau.
and I mean
German.
like we don't believe everything we see on Instagram
Yeah,
or we
sure.
see on TikTok or we see on YouTube because it's content. It's made, you know, on purpose. Same with the porn. So I mean, I love it in a way that, and I don't think it should be stigmatized. It allows you to explore something without getting into trouble. Like, you know, it's how I know that I don't like women. If I see, like, I love women, but I mean sexually. If I look at two women, you know, having sex together and naked, I don't feel anything. It doesn't, you know, I just don't feel anything. It could be beautiful. It could be, you know, visually very pleasing, aesthetic.
I'm distracted by
And
like imagining
whatever. But I don't feel, you know, any sexual desire to that. And I love it because I don't need to go and get the experience with some girl and get some, it could be very traumatic for, you know, another person or myself or both of us. But, you know, while just watching porn and experimenting, you can just kind of figure it out.
Yeah,
for
I
yourself.
just might say that also, like, I can think that I can see it that, like, some people probably watching porn and thinking, like, I'm not that cute, or, like, I do have some different shapes, or, like, I'm not looking that beautiful or whatever in the porn. That's why they, like, so close up in a
I don't
sex.
know, when was the last time
But-
you saw like really super beautiful people in porn? I don't know. I
I do
think
have my favorite models, so I really...
I don't know. I think I actually know the statistics that I don't remember the numbers that like those type of home videos that are not, you know, camera light and like bodies
Like
in
here.
oil, yeah, all of that, actually like so much more popular. Like just, you
Because
know,
it's real?
shitty light, like some angle that is maybe not that like.
Yeah, but that's the statistics, I can understand it too. So I'm just like telling that porn probably can have like a lot of different sides, but like I really appreciate it because like this is my way of understanding people. This is my way of understanding the content. So this is something what I...
Some people like to understand people in life, I read books, and some people like to understand people in
I'm
life,
reading
I
books
watch
and watching
porn.
porn. Yeah, so the content is a good thing just to have it as an option if you don't know what to do. And it's, of course, it's better to read some books, to know anatomy, and like to think of this as something which is can be helpful for you as an instrument of like observing things. But well, I can see it. So, but about like I'm really curious about this judgmental position. Why some people thinking that women who has Patreon account or who have like a OnlyFans account are whores. I don't know why it's like, why it's just so, like, why it's so under taboo, why you can just like, I don't know, why can't you do that? Like, why you're like, I don't know, restricted from doing that. If you want to do that, if you're ready just to create like a content like this, and you want to like make money by doing this. I know a lot of people who just like bought houses in your life by just like having OnlyFans account. Like, why? Like,
I don't know. I think everything has two sides, and to be honest, I don't share an opinion that that is like super normal. You know, everyone should do it and be naked on camera and make money of it. I don't share that opinion because I don't think this fits everyone.
Of course.
As an an activity or profession or like way of making money. But I think like that should be more like we should be more neutral, not even like positive or negative, shameful or accepted, but more neutral about that, there is a demand for that type of content. There is a demand for that type of, work. It is in there. And instead of, making it safe for all parties participated, both, whether it's online or offline, we kind of just shame people for doing that. There is nothing shameful in doing that. I think my biggest concern is I don't think that girls, when they're 18, 17, 18, 19 years old, are conscious enough to make that decision. And it's very tempting to go and do this instead of getting an education and getting a career, because that just takes more effort and time. But I also think that there are some people that this is a good career for them. They're, this is an art. This is creativity. This is a business. This is a product. It's all of those things. It's all of those things, and you can do that. But there is a very weird shame comes to it with it, and I absolutely hate when people when they hear that some girl or whatever does it, then they kind of have this label on that person, and they don't take that person seriously, or they automatically it means, oh, then you're stupid, or automatically it means, oh, you cannot do anything else. But you can just to do it, and you can be very good at it. And it's also running an OnlyFans account that makes a lot of money. It's like running a project. It's like running a business. You need a team to do that.
You need just to have a time. You need just to have a concept. You need just to actually be prepared for that.
What people that haven't been close to that industry probably don't know that most of the models on OnlyFans are run by agencies, not individual models. All of those models most of them are part of the larger agencies that does photo shoots for them, that does marketing for them, that does traffic acquisition for them, that does chatting for them, and does all of that for them. It is a business that running and making money. And some girls just there, and they just do that. Some bring a lot of creativity and work on their content and try to be on top of the game, because it's it's a quite competitive area as well.
I do have also, I asked yesterday my followers about questions they do have for the people who running this profiles and just they're in this industry, and I ask about also their opinion. So I do have some, maybe you can comment on. So there is a first one, which is about OnlyFans. It's legit fire. People hustling, making bank on their own terms, no cap. I would say it's legit fire. Is it? It is. You can do whatever you want with your body. You can do whatever you want if you're actually aware of which consequences might be. If you're choosing your life as being free as a model or as an artist, of course you see yourself in the content and you're not planning to be in politics or whatever, you can do whatever you want.
I think that's what I said about the temptation to get into this business early, that might be misleading, because it's when you choose a career of an artist or a musician, it's very hard to switch from having a musical career to be a doctor, for example, or to be a lawyer.
You need just to have a lot of education. So.
I don't say it's impossible, but it's hard, because you talk to different people, you have a different network, you're aware of different processes, and so on and so on. So same with any other thing. You can if you're a doctor, it's kind of hard to become then a model, if you've been working, being a doctor for 15 years, and I
think there is some cases for sure, in this world everything's happening.
I don't say it's impossible and that you cannot do it, and that, if you do that, you cannot. I've came from lots of different industries, but again, I do the same thing. I build processes, I build products. It's, it's the same thing. I don't do different stuff. I just change industries most of the time. So I think that is the most tricky part, that if you make this choice, and it's hard to pivot from it. It's harder than from some other things, because if you studied, I don't know, law, and then you decided to be to work in finance, it's not that hard to switch from that one.
This is about also a cool thing, a comment. So I support freedom of expression, but it's all about making informed choices and understanding of consequences.
Yes.
So this is a good thing. One more, it is fun. It's beautiful that we are breaking stigmas and normalizing sex work, but everyone has got a side gig. If you're not hurting anyone, why not? Well, you're not hurting anyone.
Definitely.
So why not? We're not right now motivating people just to start their career as a models of OnlyFans or like whatever, but like we're really very much into
I think what we're trying to discuss is like the complexity of navigating, you know, in life as women sometimes in a lot of sense, because women were deprived from a lot of, you know, from being a part of economics or business or do anything. And that was like not even 100 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, in a lot of places, women got their voting rights in like 50s and 60s. Like,
Sure.
it's not even, we're not even talking 100 years. And 100 years in the history of humanity is nothing, you know, and we're not even there. So, and right now, like, women got that tool that women, I'm watching Game of Thrones now, so we're like rewatching it. This best show, I like fucking love it. And there is a lot of whores in there and pleasure house, and it's like showing those times of like medieval, evolving a lot about like this work as well.
Night Butterfly, let's say.
But like, and that just to show, you know, but I think it's still at
Very
least
much about
somehow
the reality.
representative, you know, what I'm trying to say. That women never had power of their bodies. Like, their bodies were sold, but it's not them who made all the money. It's not them who made even a choice to be like a prostitute or like sex workers. Lots of them were given like when they were 13 years old. Like in some countries, it's still the thing right now. You know, it's not gone completely everywhere from the world. Right. So right now we're in the age where women can do that, but have the whole power of doing that themselves and having all the like, you know, 80% of the gains if they use an OnlyFans, like, or any other platform, whatever, they just pay commission, they own it. This is in their power, who they reply to, how much their subscription or whatever cost, you know, what they're willing to do and what they're willing not to do. And I feel like very subconsciously, a lot of men and women as well, and people in general, criticizing and shaming women for that, because it's like breaking this, I don't know, like, because women finally got power to, they do the same thing, but they own it. And now they're like, oh, that's so bad, that's shameful. Oh,
this is a nice perspective to think about, because like we usually, I'm always saying that we're living in the world of a man. So this is a man's world that's gonna be like always like that.
maybe not always, but we're still there.
I would discuss it because I think that men should have a power. I love men, I love men's energy. Men are strong. Men should be guiding this world. I would like just to follow. I would like just to know the destination together. This is a sort of partnership. It's always about the energies, whatever stuff. But like, I don't want to say that like a woman should like, because we do have all the smooths. It's not going to be like a magic pill for us not having the smooths after a PMS. Sometimes I can't drive the car when I'm not the smooths. I will not be the pilot like because I do have the smooths. Sometimes I'm so unfocused, and I know the men as well too, but sometimes I'm so unfocused that I can't just like be myself. And I know most of the men, they do not have it because they don't have the same things in the organism. They like don't have this anatomy. So this is my opinion. I'm not convincing anyone.
I agree with your opinion, to be honest. I just want to make a disclaimer that like not all men, not all women.
Of course, I'm not generalizing. There is not absolute.
There is no absolute 100%. But what I can see from my experience in my home, for example, my husband, like, you know, we live together and I work a lot and I love work. Like,
yeah.
I do love what I do. And I love this, you know, energy of achieving, getting, go get it, you know, do it. And like, I love it. But if I compare myself and him, he has so much more capacity to, like, I need to kind of pump myself up in that kind of thing. Like, okay, I'm going to do it. And he's just like that. It's just his life. He is working all the time. He does not get tired like as much as I can get tired. He has this, I'm not saying that he works more than me or I work less than him. He has consistency of performance throughout, like it does not change. Mine is like this, so some parts of the
24/7.
Like some parts of the months or days I'm like I have I have a lot of energy, I can do a lot of things, I'm very stable, I'm very focused, everything. Some days I'm just not, and it's not, and it goes in cycles. I can predict those days. It's not like oh, it's random. It's not random.
Finally, we do have our calendars. We have our products.
Chemistry in the brain changes, and all of these things changes. So it doesn't mean I work I'm not as good or I don't do things. But there is a difference in our dynamics and the capacity that we can pull in. And it's not even more or less, it's like how stable is that. Mine is a lot less stable than his. And again, this is personal experience. I think a lot of people have different experiences.
Of course.
But
I'm overall telling that the men, they do have a power of being, I don't know, consistently present with their minds. They actually are in their consciousness in here somehow, I feel it when I'm around men. I love men because I like being around them because they're making me being more focused on myself.
Grounded.
I'm kind of I'm sort of this vampire, I'm just kind of using their strategy because I feel that they just doing it to me all the time. So they just driving me. They just showing me sometimes destination because I don't see sometimes. Sometimes I do have a lack of clarity. Just because I'm a woman, but just because in the morning I saw, I don't know, a cloud in the sky and I'm sad and I don't have an explanation of it because I'm on my PMS, whatever, and I need some chocolate.
Because it's day 27 and you're just everything is horrible, life is bad, I don't like how I look, I'm fat.
Everybody hates me. I know, for example, I know that men have the conditions as well. They have these conditions for sure because of the reason. And they're not showing it because men are not good in communication, right?
Yeah, but they,
most of them, they're
I can be, I don't know, if I don't know, it's a joke, but usually, when my husband is mad, there is a very distinct, clear, reason, something happened, he's mad, he thought about it, resolved it, he's not mad. And I'm I can be just mad, sometimes.
No reason,
and I need to kind of think what is the reason behind that, so I don't so I'm not that crazy,
Yeah, so men they're more productive. I would not say that we are not productive in our careers. We are entrepreneurs. We know how to sell. We know how to build. We do have a lot of energy for doing that. But
we're as productive. I think we're as productive, and we're we're good and we're productive also in a little bit different ways, and we're creative in a lot of different ways, and that collaboration creates a lot of cool outcomes. I would say that just from my personal experience, I'd say that we're just not as we don't have the stable output consistently. So we have 20 and then 100 and then 50 and then 70 and like this. Men is 80 all the time. Maybe in the end we have the same, arithmetic average, but on daily basis it varies.
I must say that we're not putting any pressure on the men who are not feeling the same as we were talking about.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, we know that everyone's going through something all the time. So
yeah, everyone has their own little hell that they're going through.
And all big shit and all little hell.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but talking about the sex industry, it's interesting because do you know who's using more content, men or women? I suppose men, right?
Our audience on Instagram is 99 to 1%.
Okay, so
and I think I think it's 98 to 2%, and I think those 2% is our teammates who are female that go and check accounts.
Yeah,
no, I'm joking, but yeah, it's for us the statistics and stuff.
But do you think that men are actually feeling more lonely in their lives?
100%. I think, again, I think that way, and that's what statistics showed a lot from what I found, that men have more loneliness than women do because of how we build social relationship, non-sexual social relationship, with other people. women are more, they're just doing that more. And also, you know, like women more likely, for example, we go to get our hair done, we go to get our, I don't know, like nails done, or our like cosmetic stuff, and we talk. You know, you go to do your like facial, whatever, and you talk there to the woman that does it. You know, I'm not even saying like deep conversation, but you still like have a certain level of communication, and you don't discuss, you know, a price of Bitcoin or like where the interest rates are.
You're going into personal
You're
stuff,
going
right,
into
usually.
personal stuff, and you say, oh, we had a trip, or we had that, or like, I don't know, we had a fight, or we like, you know, everything is great.
That's why I like
and
my nail thing.
Yeah, it's like,
Small cozy things for
need to
yourself,
be-
but you analyzing yourself also. So you just do have like a kind of
Yes.
psychological support in every
or
service.
you know, like, I don't know, if even like when I go and I get my, you know, face whatever done, and for example, I had like once I went and I had a stressful ride. I don't know, just, you know, it was very stressful on the road. Several times something like almost happened, for example, and then I go and I say about that, and I'm like, oh, I'm like actually a bit stressed, you know, like because I don't know, there's like some tension on the road. I've like freaked out a couple of times, and I'm not complaining or anything, but I'm just sharing a little bit, and then she would say something, oh, like, are you okay? Like, oh, just, you know, relax, take it easy, like we'll just do something right now. And that small interaction is already, you know, those little, like, it already is support. It's already a little bit of human touch and human support and connection. How often men do get this kind of interactions?
Well, they do have a bro time. They just like going to some parties. They just like having this cash conversation somewhere. Probably. I think it's more about like not being super sincere about what they feel. Maybe they like really do have a different way of communication. Maybe they need just to have a bit more time and space and comfort and trust around the people who they share to.
Statistics show that men are lonely and that they seek intimate connections through sexuality. And that is a very big reason behind the success of a lot of OnlyFans models.
That's going to be right now coming out. Okay, it's not coming out. I'm just joking, but that's going to be my story. So I need to say that I'm more on the men's side because I've been always spending all my life around men. And I think that I grew up by thinking as me being a kind of like man in a woman's body and acting in this way. I've heard it so many times from my friends. Most of my friends, they're men. Thank you for being in my life. So the thing is, I just remember sometimes I've been in relationships in a very strong long-term relationships 3 times in my life. It was like year and a half, and I think that sex for me was sort of a casual thing, as having a pleasure and going back to work. So I had like enough of partners, so I would say that. And for me, it was like nothing about just having a deep connection. So I was like just having sex with a beautiful person, changing energies, switching, and that was my way of treating my loneliness. Because I'm a woman, I would like just to have attention, I would like just to have safe feeling around it, but from other side, I don't like a serious relationships. I was not a big fan of serious relationships, long-term relationships, because I wanted to be like focused, and I still want to be focused in a career. So I'm thinking that like in the way of my sexual experiences, I might understand men, because like I really needed to have some sort of emotional connection, and after I feel like respected and treated in the way I wanted, just like for having sex, for having pleasure, and going back to work. So I might understand that at some point you would like just to have somebody with whom you actually can talk. And I was surprised because I do have a fresh news from like my latest experiences, I would say. So after I moved to the United States, obviously I'm kind of cute, I know that. So when I'm meeting people, they obviously sometimes want to fuck me, and they trying just to like make compliments, give me kind of sort of support. Because like I remember one of my friends, he'd been teaching me how the tricks like an in between men work. So for convincing a woman on the first date, that was his sort of thing. For convincing a woman on the first date to sleep with him, he was like trying to make her feeling that he's actually solving her problems, or he's able to make her wish come true, or make a dream come true. So for example, if you're like having the casual conversation the first date and you're like, oh, I would like to go to Harvard, or like I would like just to whatever, and you're like, oh, I do have a friend and he's working hard, I need just to connect you, and you're like, somebody's caring about me, you know, and you're like, oh, I can actually have sex right now with this person because like we're kind of like in the long term, probably, whatever. It was his thing. So it doesn't work for me. But still, like I'm just like feeling that at some point of this type of living your life, you can have some problems with your self-confidence. And you can have your problems with the way how you actually look and treat people, right? So after I moved here and I've got this old people around me who like very pushy into the way of like, oh, you just like right now in a divorce, I would like just to like date you or like just do something. And I was like, I don't want to do that. Like I'm still like working through my traumas. I don't want to be in a relationship anymore. Like in the future maybe, but not right now. But I had one person, I met like a beautiful person, and he's obviously cute, nice guy, and he's treating me nicely, and I'm feeling that I'm confused because I forgot how to meet the man with no intention to fuck me from a first date. Do you understand it, how epic it is in my head? And we just like talked, we saw each other like 2 times, 3 times, whatever. And every time we had the beautiful conversations, we didn't hold hands or like kiss, but like we had like a conversations. He's straight. I obviously like him, but like, and that's, it just, for society, it should be normal, right? For me, it's not normal because I used to that pushy man's energy. Maybe this is a problem because men sometimes, like, I love men, but sometimes they act shit. Like, I think maybe this one about, like, maybe they're lonely because they're afraid of this close connections. Maybe they're afraid and they choose the model of being, like, hunters all the time, on a mission for, like, fucking someone, going back to work as I was in my life. And this is a problem. I don't know what's the problem in lonely. Like, I don't know what's the problem of being lonely. I don't know how to be afraid of being lonely because I love being lonely. Like, I can't understand it. Like, I can understand, like, why they're using this content, but I can't understand why this is a big problem. I would like to know more. I would like just to talk about it more.
Don't know. It's pretty clear to me, to be honest.
Wow.
Like, men are lonely a lot because of, you know, a lot of social stigma about how men should be. Like what they, you know, should talk about and what they should not talk about. Mm-hmm. Also how we build friendship, male and, you know, female. Like female friendship is built very differently from what male friendship is. Also topics that we discuss are very different. You know, like we get together and we discuss how we feel, you know, most of the time. Not like what happened in the world or what happened.
We discuss everything, so
like, but we don't go and discuss that much of some abstract topics or like
external things,
you know, like, or I don't know, like, well, a car, or like even if someone got a new car, like, okay, you got a new car, that's amazing, like, or whatever. But I don't know, I have a little bit different experience because a lot of my male friends are like nerds. In a very best way to say that, like in a very good way to say that. I do think, like, I don't think, again, I think there are pushy men, there is, you know, men that are more conservative or more shy or whatever. I don't think that is anything like deal with loneliness, but it's also hard, you know, like for them to make meaningful connections without having it sexual, because it's kind of what expected. You know, it's not very much, I mean, it is common. We all have like male friends, female friends. It's not uncommon, but it's still, you know, there is always this weird dance when you meet a guy, whereas like, you know, whether you're going to be friends or you're not going to be friends, it's always like still there. And it could be a little bit of awkward, and it could be, you know, in a different way. And I think
it can be awkward for your boyfriend or your husband, for sure. And like, I just feel it. Like sometimes we just kind of like restricted. And there's some concept of a friendship also. I wanted to talk with you as well. So there's a concept of a friendship. So that a man and woman can't have a friend, like can be friends. But I think they can actually, because like if you do have a clear position in yourself, if you can say that you're just like right now busy by kind of someone, probably it's a very weird thing to say. If you're in a relationship with someone who you love and you would like just to still make new friends, why you can't? You can, because you do have a position in yourself. You're just like a married woman, you're a woman who's dating
To
people.
be honest, I don't know. Like, this is something I don't have to comment on because I, like...
You went with the friends already into the marriage, right? So you had your group of people already.
No, I met a lot of friends, like, you know, while we were together, like male friends, female friends. And I don't know, I never had an issue with that because, like... I mean, you know, like my husband once thought... We discussed this topic once and he said, like, so what, you need to like ignore half of the population now or what? Like, you know, you work with people that are female, male, like you have like friends, you have like acquaintances, you have colleagues, like you can't fucking ignore half of the population just you know, because you're like living with someone. That's ridiculous. I mean, I think it very much comes from the relationship, and I have the very similar like view on that. It's not like why like you can't talk to other women like ever or what, like it doesn't make too much sense.
It's always like with the different people.
I mean,
I
think it goes like case by case. Obviously, like some people have like I have male friends, but I don't get like physical with them. Like I'm not going to hold hands with them or like I can hug them when I see them, but I'm not going to just, you know, be more like, you know, touchy or physical with them, for example. That because I'm not a touchy person at all, like myself.
I see. I want to hug her. She was looking.
Like that's just my thing. It's both male and female.
Yeah,
but I think like there is. I mean, I obviously wouldn't be. I would be very uncomfortable, and if I had a partner who would be like very flirtatious or like hugging their like female friends and be like very, like that may be like uncomfortable. But if you just have friends or people you know, colleagues, that is, you know, there is a fucking half of the population. I don't think it's healthy for men to be friends or like to talk only to men, or for women to talk only to women. That's ridiculous. That's not healthy in terms of, you know, just social connections in general.
For example, I had the case in one of my relationships, so I'm not going to be telling you which one, but like I had the case that a person cheated, and after he cheated, he'd been like still telling me that he needs to have like a lot of like women around him. And of course, after a person's cheating, you're not having a trust for him, and you need to work in a trust. And while you're working in a trust, you really don't want to see this person with any of the women around being close. But like in this case, of course, I would say it's very hard just to trust and to let other person just be, you know. But from other side, I do have one good friend. His name is Igor. He's an amazing person, and like their relationship with his girlfriend, it just very clear because like he said, I said one time to you that I love you. I said one time to you that I'm committed, so I'm not gonna change. So you should not be like be jealous about like of me talking to other women or like dancing with other women or like having drinks with other women, because I'm not gonna do anything. He's super inspiring, super straight person. And I believe when he said something, he's gonna do that. Like, and I would like just to have in the future this kind of relationships in between people. If you're committed to something, there is no other questions. Like, do whatever you want, like go whatever you want, but still, like, you know, just do that what you said.
I'll just wrap up our talk about like friends, female, male, and relationship. Not as an advice or anything, just personal opinion. Sometimes I talk like an old woman, you know, like an old lady.
Let's say old soul. Everything which is happening in here. Welcome to our life.
It's just, you know, your partner like is number one priority. Like it's in my universe, you know. If it's long committed relationship, it's number one. Not your friends, not your mom, your partner. You know, if you're adults, I'm not talking when you're 16 years old. That is full stop, you know, like that is period. Like if that is like this, it doesn't matter how many female or male friends you have. It doesn't matter how much you spend on work, like at work. It doesn't matter, like all other things, they do not matter if you have this crystal clear for both of you.
You're building a family.
Everything
like a
else
family.
is just, you know, like it's not that important. It is important as well. Friends are important, but it's not on the same level as.
Yeah, I think that each person has like a different
but it's different for everyone, and people
course.
have different priorities and how they treat their different interpersonal relationship. And just to wrap up a little bit, and we actually wanted to talk a lot about sex industry, sex tech industry, and what's going on in there. But we have
sex
a lot
connected
to
to
talk
every
about.
relationship, so this
It
is a
is.
part of every relationship. Everybody's watching porn. There is no other person who's like that. Probably there is some.
There are some people, but we're talking about on average.
There's a good question. So, in what ways do you believe digital platforms, specifically social media, OnlyFans, all the platforms we talked about, have influenced the perception and expression of female sexuality? We're not going to talk about men. Maybe we're going to talk about men, but we're going to have men in our...
Yeah, I think we can discuss this topic about female sexuality because we're also both women, and we kind of,
Some of us creating content.
And some of us creating content, and some of us are not that brave, but, secretly willing to.
You're still creating content, like even more than I.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Not for myself, though. For
Let's talk
people that
about
don't
that.
exist, but,
You first, I'm second.
In my opinion, it changed, to be honest, dramatically, because even 20 years ago, to be a gorgeous woman, on the cover of magazine, you were supposed to be a top model, actress. I don't know.
90-60-90, standardized.
Reporter. I don't know, you should have been a famous person that then you can be on the cover, sexy, gorgeous, be a beauty standard. Right now, any girl can do that. If you know how to put makeup on yourself, or you're just gorgeous, or whatever.
Do you remember Ratatouille? The rat which is cook? And that was a quote about everybody can cook. So right now everybody can be superstar.
But that's true. Everyone can be a superstar. Everyone can get their fame. Everyone can get their expression of their beauty in a creative, photo shoot at fucking home. You don't even need a studio. You don't even need that. So that is fantastic. I think that gave the whole wave of women experimenting with their looks, with their femininity, with their beauty, with their style, with how they express themselves. A lot of women, even the ones I know, they found their expression in the sexual content. And I'm not saying porn on camera. There is all of the shades of erotica, just nudes, lingerie, whatever. I'm a big fan of lingerie, for example. I think it's so beautiful, and Ukrainian brands only.
For 20 minutes she was like, I need to show you something my bras, this, everything.
Yeah, everyone, I invite
so-
everyone to my home and just show them my lingerie because I'm too shy to post it on Instagram. So I'm just look at that and imagine how it would look at me, that's as much as I can do.
Gorgeous, it's so, I do understand it. It's so about the opinion of on the digital platforms, I must say that I do have my story. So a first nude photo session I had when I was 17, so under 18. It's kind of a bit freaky by having the conservative parents at that time, by having my dad, which is what, you're gonna show your boob, you're 17, you should not do that.
I'm still like that. I'm still ashamed to tell my parents that I work that I work in the sex tech industry,
My mom liking my pictures, she was like, I need to have one photo session like that. I really love it. I was I work on that for more than 10 years, and I'm so grateful for having such a supportive parents right now. But at that moment, I had my first nude photo session, and when in half a year after this, I remember that I needed to go to Poland, and I had my phone, and I was looking through my tickets, and my dad saw somehow, or he took my phone or something, he saw my folder with this photo shoot, and he was like, what the fuck? And that was 2 minutes before my train went. And he was like, what? I need to talk to you. Wait, I was like, I'm going back, bye. And afterwards I realized that it was my expression of myself, because I really nude. I love being a model. This is not my profession, this is my hobby. it's making me so free. It's making me so alive. I love myself more when I see myself in that. It's just giving me so like a lot of energy, because like I love exploring myself in this way. So this all poses when you lay down on a cold whatever like rocks, and you're like, oh, it's just so that comfy, but I'm gonna be looking so cold, you know.
But
I love creating content.
I do love that, and I think I just wanted to say that all of this has like two sides of it. One, I think it's extremely great for women to explore their body and like experiment and have those beautiful, stunning photo shoots, content, creativity, expression of to make it, to deliver it to the world. And also it helps a lot of people to kind of get, you know, like how I see myself, like I will again speak on my personal experience, how I see myself. And then sometimes like I can see a photo of myself that someone took or like I took, but after some time I'm see it and I'm like, oh, I look so like beautiful. But then I look at myself and I'm like, oh, I don't like this and this. Oh, and I, you know, maybe I need to like to get in better shape or do that or something. So like it helps to build your self-esteem, like, you know, in terms of how you look, I think a lot. But in the same time, I think the bad side of it is like social media, you know, you give your body for judgment. And whoever says that, oh, I don't care, I do it for myself, I don't 100% believe it, because as soon as you put something on social media where you get comments, liked, impressions, and so on, you
dependent, of course.
You get yourself, you know, like assessed, and I'm not saying judged, but evaluated by other people, and that could be, you know, that could bring both sides to it. So that is the whole another topic about people being toxic on social media. I personally, if I don't like something, I just scroll down. I don't feel an urge to leave a nasty comment on that. Some people fucking do for some reason.
Be kind.
Yeah, be kind to people. They're already brave enough to do that, you know? You don't like it? Fucking scroll. There is tons of content. Don't fucking ruin someone's self-esteem by being a little cunt, you know?
I can say that, and I can see it in the feed. When I see a beautiful woman, sometimes in a bad mood, I'm like, oh, she's so beautiful, and I'm like, not. But from other side, I'm just building my confidence by doing the arts, because like I'm very picky towards like all photographers who want to work with me. And when I see this vibe of a person who just feel my energy, who treats me well, who's like, you know, we're gonna create arts. Not I wanna fuck you in a photo shoot and you're gonna be like in white and black, like in my bed, like naked. But like in the way of, I wanna create with you. I had some people, I met like amazing people in LA, and I know it's even more, I would like just to work with them more, because like they trying just to make arts together with you in the way of like you being in nature, how you feel in this moment, what you exactly would like just to say via this like whole photo shoot, and how you would like just to express yourself. So I think you like, if you want to start like even try just to have a photo shoot, you just to find a person who just like,
I 100% agree.
Matching.
And I think nudity gives a lot of power to the content. It's like, you know, something being so pure, so, you know, like clean, so in there just, you know, that moment of like birth or whatever. I'm getting a little bit philosophical, but it has this kind of, you know, vibe with it. But to be honest, you know, I know your content and it is an art, but I've watched a lot of OnlyFans content, and it's not art. It's porn on camera, or it's like fetish on camera, or it's whatever else on camera, which is also not a bad thing to do. But as we already mentioned, it comes from all sorts of form, you know, and shades. Some of the content is erotica, and it's beautiful and powerful, and it can deliver a powerful message to the world. Some of the content is just, you know, replying to demand of people that consume that content, which is something a lot more, you know, explicit and straight to the point, like, you know, women come on camera and all of that, which is nothing wrong with that either, but it's you know, it's on the same scale, but on a very different sides.
Yeah, I like the process of creation, but I think like we went through this. I think this is like, this is it. This is a question. So the second question is about the historical content. How do you think the portrayal of a female sexuality has evolved with the advent of the internet compared to traditional media? Like how it's actually changed? like a female sexuality, for me, I think that through a lot of my museum times, when I was impressed by how people can show this like a female sexuality in the way of like posing or whatever, I had this picture in my mind, like how the woman should just like be in a social media. I had this classy way of like, you know, everything. And for me, social media, they added on the top of my understanding that there's like a lot of different people, that there's like a lot of different sizes, that like there's a lot of millions of movements of like, what was a movement about like XXL models?
What time?
Like
the Rubens?
4 years ago, I think that started.
Sorry, I'm like
like about
medieval age.
About like having the commercials together, like not with 90, 60, 90 standard, but also have like a lot of different body shapes in that, and showing that like beauty can be different. It changed my understanding.
Oh, it changed so much. I mean, that is a whole different topic, to be honest. So what I think, it's a little bit different angle, but you know, I was born in 90s, you were born in 90s. Kind of, I was heavily influenced by the culture of like 2000s about being skinny, heroin chick, and like, I think we all did, like that you have to be skinny. You know, like a lot of whatever doubt or whatever comes from just being grown up in the age of media, like very heavily promoting like skinny beauty, not healthy beauty, not like slim beauty, but like skinny beauty. With the social media and how it changed, I think when people started to post themselves a lot, and not even saying professional photo shoots, not like content, but just them, you kind of started to see
more
people, not people, because before social media we saw people, you know, digitally we saw people only in movies or like in magazines or in sort of Photoshop, light, everything. But then social media came in and we're like starting to see people more. And obviously, you know, I'm not saying that content on Instagram is all natural and real, like, you know, Facetune and everything. It's not. But there is a lot of that. I'm not even talking about the sizes. We started, especially being in Ukraine, you know, we all like, we're not the same, we're different, but we don't see a lot of people from different, you know, body shapes, ethnicities, skin colors, different, like, I don't know, hairstyles. Like, we have obviously our variations, but they're very limited to our like Slavic appearance, to be honest. But with social media, we started to see like women look different, women of different age look different, women can be naked and be respectful, like, you know, a lot of, I follow some girls that have businesses and they are CEOs, and then they have a beautiful photo shoot, you know, like in their whatever, like a lingerie. It's not like porn or sex content, but it's still like, and I'm like, wow, you can be like that as well. You don't need to be this only. You can be this and this and this. So I think social media empowered women to embrace what they do, like, I don't know, build career, be a mom, be both, but also Instagram gave those, like, not only Instagram, but we'll say that, for example,
social media and everything,
gave women a platform to also show themselves aesthetically beautiful or in the way they would want people to see them. So I think that is amazing. But I've never said a good word about social media, I think, ever before. And now I'm like, oh, it's such a great thing. Obviously, you know, there is a whole other side of social media, but
depends on our moods, you know.
Yeah.
Like whatever.
I delete Instagram like every other month, you know.
I get it. I see it. Okay, so also so we talked about that a bit. So this all platforms like OnlyFans and Patreon has been praised for offering financial in advance to women. Do you think this financial aspect contributes to empowerment? And if so, how? You talked a bit about this, about like how people just get the power back on their bodies so they can just like think of what they're gonna do with this. But is it actually changed? Because I feel like a million of women right now don't know what to do, and it's like the adopting is the right choice to do because like they're like, I don't know, maybe raised in a classic families, classy families with the classy mindsets. Is it something? What do you think it's going to be changed soon?
I would To be honest, like I will give my personal opinion. I think it does give women financial freedom in a way, but it's not, you know, an ultimate freedom giver. Like it's not like, oh, and OnlyFans gave like freedom. You can be an astronaut, you can be a doctor, you can be a lawyer. You don't like to be financially independent or have freedom. You don't have to be an OnlyFans model. But I think if we're talking specifically about sex industry, this is where OnlyFans 100% gave this financial freedom to women. Because it's like, men, not only men, but like people take advantage of female sexuality throughout the history. You know, as we mentioned, usually women, it's not that were their conscious choice to be a sex worker, you know, 100 years ago or 200 years ago. You were born in, you know, poor family. Maybe your parents died, someone gave you to the brothel, you know, on the next street. So that was the reality. It obviously changed. We don't live in those times either. But even right now, a lot of sex workers, those are victims of being trafficked, or they've been, you know, they've been forced to do that, or they've been taking their documents or whatever. So there is a very dark side, you know, behind the sex work or behind all of that. Like, always, and it's very dark and it's you know, very bad. OnlyFans gave you you know, like this type of content gave you an ability, first of all, to choose how far you want to go. We're focused on OnlyFans, so let's focus on Instagram. How many girls make tons of money on Instagram by having their, you know, blog and just constantly being half naked in that? Beautifully. I'm not saying they do sex work, I'm not saying they do porn. They're in the laundry. They do all sorts of photo shoots. They sell their body as much as people sell it on OnlyFans. There could be a different level of how explicit you go, but they make money of selling their, you know, themselves on the internet.
Yeah, I just remember we talked a bit about this topic of like an OnlyFans as one of the platforms for promoting your services, or for example, being a cook or being, I don't know, making pottery or making some classes, so you can just do half naked and just like still sell your services as something on a platform which is like created for actually the sexual experiences. Yeah. This is a good thing for marketing, and this is the good thing for like expressing yourself. This is a good thing and a way of like you making business probably. So that's why we wanted to say that everyone can do everything. And be conscious about decisions you make and the consequences they carry on. Yeah. Because everything has consequences, you know, bad, good, neutral, but it does. Yeah. And it will impact your life later on. You know, if that is the passion, you know, of exploration, of self-expression, that's beautiful. Yeah. But if you're there just to make a quick cash, I think that is play poker. Don't play poker.
That is a very high price to pay to make a little bit of cash right here and now. I think so. But you know, everyone has their own situation, where they are, and sometimes that might be the only choice, or like or sometimes it's not. So you know, you can experiment and sometimes do a lot of things.
No. Just want to say that like a main thing for today, we just like really would like to maybe inspire some people to explore themselves more, maybe to inspire more people just to question themselves, like what they would like actually to do, and being not afraid of, I don't know.
Look at yourself.
Any of the industries you would like to, and also go in, and also like think that if you would like to express yourself in an artistic way, just do that. Like, and modeling and erotic shoots and everything is just like normal. It should be normal in a society. It should be not something which is like disrespected or like under a taboo or whatever.
Yeah, I hope, you know, we will live through the age when humanity stopped freaking out because of female nipples, you know? Yeah. Like just... Yeah. We still live in a society when someone see like, you know, female nipples, they're like, oh my God. So,
do not do that. Do not do that. I really remember the situation with my mom was like, don't watch that. I was like, but they're just kissing. Do not do that. So I was like, what?
No.
Oh, that was a nice talk.
Yeah.
I like that.
So, you know, stay safe,
Female
explore safely for yourself and for your
Subscribe,
surroundings.
love yourself.
And love yourself, and you know, look at yourself in the mirror.